Welcome to our series on the foundations of counseling. In this first video, we'll explore the core definition and the fundamental purpose of counseling. Counseling is a collaborative process that involves a trained professional helping an individual, couple, or group navigate through personal challenges. It is not about giving advice or telling someone what to do. Instead, it is about empowering clients to find their own solutions and make informed decisions. The primary purpose of counseling is to facilitate personal growth and mental well-being. It provides a safe, confidential environment to express feelings. It also aims to help individuals develop effective coping strategies for stress, anxiety, and life transitions, fostering resilience in the face of adversity. At its heart, counseling relies on the therapeutic relationship, a bond built on trust, empathy, and mutual respect between the counselor and the client. Understanding this foundation is crucial before we move on to the importance of planning in our next video. Welcome back. In this video, we delve deep into the importance of planning in counseling, illustrating why it is the backbone of effective therapy. Think of counseling as a complex journey. Without a map, it's easy to wander aimlessly. A treatment plan acts as that essential roadmap, guiding every step. Planning ensures efficiency. Therapy time is limited, often just 1 hour a week. A plan helps us focus on what truly matters, maximizing every minute for the client's benefit. Structure creates safety. When a client knows there is a plan, they feel more secure. This predictability is crucial for building trust and allowing vulnerability. Effective planning involves setting SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This ensures we are both aiming for the same target. Let's look at an example. Consider a client suffering from social anxiety. Without a plan, sessions might just be venting about the week's events. But with a plan, we can structure exposure exercises, starting with small steps like visiting a coffee shop and gradually working up to larger social gatherings. This intentionality drives progress. This brings us to monitoring. A plan provides a baseline. Without it, it's difficult to evaluate if the therapy is effective or if we need to change course. Take another example, a client navigating a major career transition. The plan might break this huge life change into manageable phases. First, identifying values and skills. Second, networking. And third, applying for roles. By breaking it down, the overwhelming becomes achievable, reducing the client's stress. Crucially, this plan is not dictated by the counselor. It is co-created. The client is the expert on their own life. When they actively participate in building the plan, their commitment to the process increases significantly. They own their goals. However, planning does not mean rigidity. A good counselor adapts the plan when a crisis occurs or when the client's needs shift unexpectedly. It's a living document. Furthermore, planning is a legal and ethical requirement. It documents the rationale for our interventions, protecting both the professional and the client. In essence, planning is the backbone of professional practice. It turns good intentions into effective action. Next, we will compare individual versus group counseling methods. Welcome to Part 3. Today, we're exploring the two primary modalities of therapy: individual counseling and group counseling. Understanding the distinction is vital for effective referral. Individual counseling is a one-on-one process. It offers the highest level of confidentiality and personalization. The focus is entirely on the client's unique history, needs, and pace. This modality is ideal for deep trauma work, crisis intervention, or when a client needs significant attention to build a therapeutic alliance before they can trust others. In contrast, group counseling involves a small number of clients meeting together under the guidance of one or more therapists. Here, the dynamic shifts from me to we. The power of the group lies in shared experience. Clients realize they are not alone. This reduces isolation and shame, which is particularly powerful for issues like addiction or grief. Groups also provide a social laboratory. Clients can practice new behaviors, receive feedback from peers, and learn from others' successes and struggles in real time. It's social learning in action. However, groups aren't for everyone. They offer less privacy and individual attention. The counselor must manage complex dynamics to ensure safety, whereas individual therapy is more contained. Consider a client with severe social anxiety. We might start with individual counseling to build core confidence. Later, we might transition them to a group to practice social skills in a safe environment. The modalities can complement each other. Practically speaking, group counseling is often more cost-effective and allows counselors to help more people simultaneously, increasing access to care. Choosing between individual and group work depends on the client's clinical needs, preferences, and readiness. Both are powerful tools in your kit. In our next video, we'll discuss the role of the counselor and setting counseling goals. See you then. Welcome to the final part of Chapter 1. Today, we define the role of the counselor and how we set effective therapeutic goals. A common misconception is that a counselor fixes problems. In reality, our role is that of a facilitator. We provide the conditions for the client to grow, much like a gardener tending to a plant. To do this, we must offer 3 core conditions: empathy, unconditional positive regard, and genuineness. We listen without judgment, creating a safe space for exploration. Active listening is our primary tool. It's not just hearing words, but understanding the emotions and meaning behind them. It validates the client's experience. Now let's talk about goals. In counseling, goals must be client-led. It is the client's life, and they must determine the destination. Our job is to help map the route. We distinguish between outcome goals, what the client wants to achieve, like feeling less anxious, and process goals, what happens in the session to get there, like practicing mindfulness techniques. While we support the client, we must maintain strict ethical boundaries. We are professionals, not friends. These boundaries protect the therapeutic space and prevent dependency. For example, a client with depression might set a goal to reconnect with hobbies. The counselor helps break this down. Step 1 might be simply listing activities they used to enjoy. Ultimately, the goal of counseling is empowerment. We want the client to leave therapy not just with their current problem solved, but with the skills to handle future challenges independently. This concludes Chapter 1. We've covered the foundations, planning, types of counseling, and the core role of the professional. In Chapter 2, we will dive deep into planning individual counseling specifically, starting with understanding the individual client. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Chapter 2. We're now focusing on planning individual counseling. The first and most critical step is truly understanding the individual client. We don't just see a set of symptoms. We must adopt a holistic view. The biopsychosocial model helps us see the whole person, their biology, psychology, and social environment. Biologically, we consider genetics, physical health, and sleep patterns. Is their anxiety rooted in a thyroid issue? Are they sleeping well? These physical factors profoundly affect mental health. Psychologically, we look at their thought patterns, emotional regulation, and personal history. What is their attachment style? How do they view themselves in the world? Socially, we examine their relationships, work environment, and cultural context. We cannot treat a client in a vacuum. They are part of a larger system. Culture is paramount. A client's background influences how they express pain, seek help, and perceive healing. Cultural humility allows us to understand their unique worldview. Crucially, understanding the client also means identifying their strengths, not just their deficits. What has helped them survive until now? These are the building blocks of resilience. Let's consider Maria. She presents with burnout. A holistic view reveals she is a single mother, social, has a history of perfectionism, psychological, and is chronically sleep-deprived, biological. By understanding these intersecting layers, we can create a plan that addresses the root causes, perhaps starting with sleep hygiene and boundary setting, rather than just treating the symptom. To plan effectively, we must see the full picture. Understanding the who comes before the how. Next, we'll discuss needs assessment and active listening skills to gather this vital information. See you in Part 6. Welcome to Part 6. Once we understand the client holistically, we must conduct a thorough needs assessment. This is the bedrock of any treatment plan. A needs assessment identifies the gap between where the client is and where they want to be. It can be formal, using standardized questionnaires, or informal through conversation. The primary tool for this is the intake interview. Here, we gather history, presenting problems, medical background, family dynamics, and previous therapy experiences. But gathering information isn't just asking questions, it's about active listening. This means being fully present. We use a framework called ORS. ORS stands for open-ended questions, affirmations, reflections, and summaries. Open questions invite stories, not just yes or no answers. Affirmations validate the client's strengths. Reflections act like a mirror, repeating back what the client said to ensure understanding and show empathy. Summaries pull together the threads of the conversation, checking accuracy and helping the client see themes they might have missed. We also listen with our eyes. Nonverbal cues, posture, tone of voice, silence, often say more than words. A client saying "I'm fine" while clenching their fists tells a different story. Imagine a client sharing a painful memory. Instead of jumping to a solution, we reflect. It sounds like you felt incredibly alone in that moment. This validation builds the trust needed for real work. Through assessment and listening, we build a bridge to the client's inner world. Only then can we begin to structure the counseling sessions. In Part 7, we'll discuss exactly that, building trust and a safe environment. See you there. Welcome to Part 7. We've assessed the needs, now we must create the container. Today we discuss building trust and a safe environment. Research consistently shows that the quality of the therapeutic alliance, the bond of trust between client and counselor, is the strongest predictor of successful outcomes. Trust is everything. Safety starts with the physical environment. The space should be private, soundproof, and comfortable. Seating arrangements should foster equality, not a power imbalance. A warm, inviting room signals to the client that they are valued. Avoid barriers like large desks between you. We want to signal openness. But physical safety is just the start. Psychological safety is paramount. This is built on confidentiality and clear boundaries. The client must know their secrets are safe. We establish this early by explaining confidentiality limits transparently. What you say here stays here, with a few safety exceptions. This clarity reduces anxiety. Trust is also built through consistency. Being on time, ending on time, and remembering details from previous sessions shows the client they are a priority. Reliability breeds trust. Inevitably, there will be missteps or ruptures in the relationship. You might misunderstand them or arrive late. How you handle this, by apologizing and owning it, is crucial. If you say, "I realize I missed the mark on what you said earlier, can we try again?" you model healthy conflict resolution. Often, the repair strengthens the bond more than if the rupture never happened. By creating a safe harbor, we allow the client to weather their internal storms. Trust is the vessel that carries them through the process. In Part 8, we will move to setting objectives for individual counseling. See you then. Welcome to Part 8. We've built the relationship. Now we need to decide where we are going. Today, we discuss setting objectives for individual counseling. First, let's distinguish between goals and objectives. A goal is the destination. I want to be happy. Objectives are the specific, actionable steps to get there. Effective objectives must be SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Vague objectives like get better are hard to track. Specific means answering who, what, where, and when. Measurable means having a metric. Instead of be less anxious, try reduce panic attacks from 5 to 2 per week. Achievable ensures the objective is realistic, given the client's resources. Relevant ensures it actually matters to the client's broader life goals. Time-bound creates urgency and a check-in point. I will apply for one job by next Friday. This prevents procrastination and drifting. Objectives must be collaborative. If the counselor dictates them, the client won't buy in. We ask, what is the smallest step you feel ready to take this week? Let's revisit our social anxiety client. The goal is feel confident socially. Objective 1 might be call one friend for 5 minutes by Wednesday. Specific, measurable, achievable. Clients often have many needs. We must prioritize. We usually start with what is most distressing to the client or what offers the quickest win to build momentum. Clear objectives turn the vague desire for change into a concrete roadmap. They allow both client and counselor to see progress. In Part 9, we will look at how to structure the individual counseling sessions themselves. See you then. Welcome to Part 9. We have our objectives. Now, how do we actually run the hour? Today, we look at structuring individual counseling sessions. Every effective session has a clear arc, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Without this structure, sessions can feel chaotic and unproductive. The beginning, usually the first 5 to 10 minutes, is for the check-in. We assess the client's current mood and safety. We also bridge from the last session. Bridging is crucial. We ask, how did the homework go? Or, any reflections from last week? This creates continuity and momentum. The middle is the work. This is the bulk of the session, about 30-35 minutes. Here we dive into the agenda items, use interventions, and explore emotions deeply. The end, the final 5 to 10 minutes, is for landing the plane. We must not open new deep wounds here. Instead, we summarize what was covered and regulate emotions. This is also where we set the action plan or homework. What will the client practice between now and next week? This keeps the therapy alive outside the room. Time management is the counselor's responsibility. We typically work in a therapeutic hour of 50 minutes. Keeping boundaries on time provides safety and containment. However, structure shouldn't be rigid. If a client arrives in crisis, we ditch the agenda and focus on stabilization. This flexibility within the frame is key. A well-structured session feels safe. It allows the client to dive deep, knowing you will bring them back up for air before they leave. In Part 10, we will explore specific methods used in individual counseling, such as CBT and person-centered approaches. See you then. Welcome to Part 10. We have the structure, now we need the tools. Today we explore the major methods used in individual counseling. Think of these methods as tools in a toolbox. No single tool fixes every problem. A skilled counselor knows which one to reach for. The most common evidence-based approach is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It focuses on the link between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. CBT posits that if we change our negative thoughts, like I'm a failure, we can change our feelings and behaviors. It's structured and practical. Next is person-centered therapy, founded by Carl Rogers. It's less about techniques and more about the relationship. The client is the expert. Here, the counselor provides empathy and unconditional positive regard, creating the sunlight for the client's natural growth tendency to take over. Then there's psychodynamic therapy. This looks deeper, into the unconscious and the past. How do childhood patterns play out in adult life? It's like an iceberg. We explore what's beneath the surface, repressed emotions and defense mechanisms, to gain insight and resolve inner conflict. In contrast, solution-focused brief therapy doesn't dwell on the problem history, it looks forward. We ask the miracle question. If you woke up and the problem was gone, what would be different? Most modern counselors are integrative. We blend these methods. We might use person-centered listening to build trust, then a CBT technique to challenge a specific fear. In Part 11, we will look at planning activities and exercises to use alongside these methods. See you then. Welcome to Part 11. Therapy doesn't just happen in the hour we meet, it happens in the 167 hours between sessions. Today, we look at planning activities and exercises. We often call this homework, though between-session experiments might be a friendlier term. The goal is to bridge the gap between insight and real-world application. One common activity is journaling. It helps clients track patterns in their thoughts and emotions. For CBT, this might be a thought record identifying triggers. Writing things down engages a different part of the brain than speaking. It creates distance from the problem, making it easier to analyze and challenge. Another powerful tool is the behavioral experiment. If a client believes everyone will laugh if I speak up, we design a small experiment to test that hypothesis. They might ask a question in a meeting and observe the reaction. Usually, the catastrophe doesn't happen. This experiential learning is far more potent than reassurance. We also teach regulation skills like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or mindfulness. These are tools for the client's back pocket during high stress. Practicing these in session first is key. We don't just say, go relax. We guide them through it, ensuring they understand the mechanics before they try it alone. Crucially, we invite rather than assign. We ask, does this feel manageable? If it's too overwhelming, they won't do it, and guilt will hinder the next session. Finally, always review the homework. If you forget to ask about it, the message is that it wasn't important. Reviewing it reinforces the effort and learning. In Part 12, we will discuss monitoring progress and adapting the plan. See you then. Welcome to Part 12. We have a plan, but is it working? Today, we discuss monitoring progress and adapting the plan. This is where therapy stays dynamic. Without monitoring, we are flying blind. We need to know if the client is moving towards their goals or if we are just chatting pleasantly but aimlessly. We use various tools. Some are formal, like symptom questionnaires, e.g. GAD-7 for anxiety. Others are subjective, like SUDS, subjective units of distress scale. Asking, on a scale of 0 to 10, how anxious are you right now, gives us a concrete number to track over time. It makes the intangible tangible. We also do verbal check-ins. How do you feel we are progressing towards your goal of X? This meta-communication keeps the alliance strong. A formal mid-therapy review is crucial. We pause to look at the map. Have we reached the milestones? Do the goals need to change? If progress has stalled, we must adapt. It's not the client's fault. The plan might be wrong. Maybe the goal was too big, or the method doesn't fit their style. We pivot. If CBT journaling feels like a chore, we switch to art therapy or mindfulness. Flexibility prevents the client from feeling like a failure. We also normalize regression. Healing isn't linear. A setback isn't the end, it's data. It tells us what triggers still need work. Finally, we celebrate wins. Acknowledging small victories builds self-efficacy. Look how far you've come from Session 1. In Part 13, we wrap up Chapter 2 with ethical considerations and ending individual counseling. See you then. Welcome to Part 13. All good things must come to an end, including therapy. Today we discuss ethical considerations and how to end individual counseling well. Ethics isn't just a rulebook we memorize for exams, it's a mindset. It's about consistently asking, is this in the best interest of the client? A major pitfall is dual relationships, being someone's counselor and their friend, boss, or customer. This muddies the water and can cause harm. We avoid it to protect objectivity. Confidentiality is sacred, but not absolute. We are mandatory reporters. If a client is a danger to themselves, others, or if a child is being abused, we must break confidentiality to save lives. Now, let's talk about termination. In therapy, termination means the ending. It shouldn't be an abrupt event, it's a phase. We plan for it from the beginning. A good ending celebrates growth. We review the journey. Remember where you started? Look at you now. It consolidates the gains and prepares them for independence. A bad ending, ghosting, or abrupt stoppage can be re-traumatizing, reinforcing feelings of abandonment. We must process the ending together, even if it's difficult. Sometimes we must end because we can't help. If a client needs specialized care beyond our scope, ethical practice demands we refer them out. It's a baton pass, not a rejection. Finally, an ethical counselor practices self-care. We cannot pour from an empty cup. Our own well-being ensures we can show up fully for our clients. This concludes Chapter 2 on planning individual counseling. We've walked through the entire life cycle of the individual therapeutic relationship. In Chapter 3, we shift gears entirely to planning group counseling. It's a different beast with different rules. See you in Part 14. Welcome to Chapter 3. We're shifting focus to planning group counseling. Today, we define what group therapy is and its unique therapeutic purposes. Group counseling typically consists of 5 to 10 individuals meeting regularly with 1 or 2 trained facilitators. It's a powerful modality where the group itself becomes the agent of change. Irvin Yalom, a pioneer in group therapy, identified 11 therapeutic factors. These are the mechanisms that make groups work. Let's look at 3 core ones. The first is universality. In individual therapy, clients often feel their problems are unique. In a group, hearing "I feel that too" provides immense relief. They realize they are not alone. The second is altruism. In groups, clients discover they have something valuable to offer others. Helping a peer provides a boost to self-esteem that individual therapy can't replicate. Being needed by others shifts the focus from their own suffering to their capacity for compassion and support. It's a fundamental part of the healing process. The third is interpersonal learning. The group is a microcosm of society. How a client interacts in the group is usually how they interact in the real world. This allows clients to receive immediate, honest feedback about their social impact in a safe environment. They can practice new ways of relating before trying them outside. Beyond these factors, groups are efficient. They allow us to support more people simultaneously and provide a built-in support network that continues to grow session after session. Group counseling is more than just therapy in a crowd. It's a unique social ecosystem designed for profound personal change. In Part 15, we'll discuss when and why to use group counseling over individual modalities. See you then. Welcome to Part 15. Every client is unique, and so is every treatment modality. Today we discuss when and why to choose group counseling over individual therapy. Group therapy is highly indicated for interpersonal issues. If a client struggles with social skills or feels isolated, the group provides a natural laboratory to grow. It's also the gold standard for addiction and grief. Practically, groups increase access. They are more affordable for the client and more time efficient for the counselor. In community health settings, groups are often the only way to reach everyone in need. Why use groups? Because they normalize the struggle. Hearing others speak about their shame or fear reduces its power. It provides a level of validation that a single therapist cannot provide alone. Groups also offer diverse perspectives. In individual therapy, you only have the counselor's feedback. In a group, you have 6 or 7 different mirrors reflecting your behavior back to you. However, groups are not for everyone. Contraindications include active crisis, acute psychosis, or severe brain damage. These clients require the containment and safety of one-on-one care first. We also avoid placing someone with severe acute social phobia into a group too early. It might be too overwhelming and lead to dropout. We might start with individual sessions to build readiness. Consider a grief group. A person who lost a spouse may feel friends don't understand. In the group, they find people who get it without explanation. This shared language of loss is profoundly healing. The choice depends on clinical assessment. We ask, where will this client feel both challenged and safe enough to grow? Often the answer is a combination of both. When used correctly, group counseling isn't just an alternative. It's a superior modality for social and relational healing. In Part 16, we'll discuss planning group structure and logistics, the nuts and bolts of setting a group up. See you then. Welcome back. We are revisiting Part 16 to focus specifically on the nuts and bolts, planning group structure and logistics. This is about the container, not the content. The first major decision is structure, open or closed. An open group allows new members to join anytime. It maintains size but challenges cohesion. A closed group stays the same from start to finish. Size matters significantly. Research suggests the ideal size is 7 to 8 members, fewer than 5, and interaction stalls. More than 10, and members can hide or get lost in the crowd. Consistency creates safety. Groups typically meet weekly. Unlike the 50-minute individual hour, group sessions need 90 minutes to ensure everyone has airtime to share and process. We also decide on composition. Homogeneous groups, e.g. all trauma survivors, bond quickly. Heterogeneous groups, mixed ages, issues, offer a richer microcosm of the real world. Logistics includes screening. We must interview candidates to ensure they have the capacity for group work. We are building a balanced team, not just filling seats. The physical setting is symbolic. We sit in a circle so everyone can see everyone. We remove barriers like tables. This openness encourages vulnerability and connection. A key logistical rule is no subgrouping. We ask members not to socialize outside the session. Relationships must happen in the room so the whole group can process them. Think of logistics as the frame of a painting. It doesn't distract from the art, but it holds everything together. A solid frame allows the messy work of therapy to happen safely. Now that we've built the frame, we can move on to selecting and forming the group in Part 17. See you then. Welcome back. We have the logistics in place. Now we need the right people. Today we discuss selecting and forming the group, a process that begins long before the first meeting. Selection is an art. We look for members who are motivated to change and have the capacity for interpersonal connection. They must be willing to give and receive honest feedback. Equally important is knowing who not to include. We exclude those in acute crisis, those with active psychosis, or individuals who are highly hostile. Such members may inadvertently harm the group dynamic or themselves. We aim for balance using the Noah's Ark principle. We try to ensure no one is the only one of their kind in the group. Having a peer with a similar background or struggle accelerates safety and bonding. Once selected, every member undergoes a pre-group preparation interview. This is our chance to build an initial alliance and set clear expectations. We explain that the group isn't a lecture. It's an interactive process where they are active participants. This demystification reduces initial performance anxiety. We proactively address common fears. For example, many fear contagion, that they will catch others' problems. We explain that hearing others' struggles actually reduces isolation and provides perspective, which is deeply healing. We also prepare them for the stages of group formation. They need to know that storming, or initial conflict and tension, is normal. By anticipating these phases, members are less likely to drop out when things get challenging or awkward. Knowledge is the antidote to impulsivity. We establish the ground rules: absolute confidentiality, regular attendance, and a no subgrouping rule. We ask for a commitment to the first 4 sessions. This ensures the group has time to move past the forming stage into real work. A well-formed group is a powerful engine for change. The preparation we do now ensures that engine runs smoothly. In our next video, we discuss setting goals for the group. Thank you for watching Part 17. We'll see you in Part 18, where we dive into goal setting. Welcome back to Part 18. We are specifically discussing setting goals in a group context. This is different from selecting members. We are now in the room setting our sights. In group work, we operate on 2 levels. Level 1 is the individual goal. Why am I here? Level 2 is the group goal. What are we trying to achieve together? For example, in a social anxiety group, Sarah's goal might be to speak without blushing. Tom's goal might be to ask someone on a date. These are personal. But the group goal is collective, to create a supportive laboratory where we can practice social risks safely. Everyone must buy into the shared mission to move the boat forward. We also set process goals. These define how we treat each other. Examples include, we will be honest about our feelings in the moment, or we will support each other without judgment. This leads to the principle of mutual aid. I achieve my goal by helping you achieve yours. When I support your bravery, I build my own confidence. We rise together. The first few sessions are often spent negotiating these goals. The leader asks, what do you want to get out of this experience? And how can we help you get there? Sometimes goals conflict. One member wants advice, another wants just to be heard. The group goal becomes learning to negotiate these needs respectfully, a vital life skill in itself. Clear, shared goals act as a compass. When the group gets lost or stormy, we look at the compass. Are we still moving towards what we agreed on? Now that we have our destination, in Part 19 we will look at the map, designing the group session structure. See you then. Welcome to Part 19. Today we bridge the gap between planning the whole group and planning the individual hour. We discuss designing group counseling sessions. Like individual therapy, group sessions have a clear arc. But with multiple people, the transitions between the opening, the working phase, and the closing must be even more intentional. The opening phase, the first 15 minutes, sets the climate. We do a brief check-in. The facilitator's goal here is to identify common ground or themes that link the members together today. If one person mentions anxiety and another mentions a stressful work event, the facilitator might say, "It seems there is a theme of handling pressure in the room today." This focus guides the work. The working phase is the longest part, usually 60 minutes. Here we encourage members to talk directly to each other rather than to the leader. This is where interpersonal learning happens. The leader facilitates this web of interaction. We might say, "Tom, you seem to be nodding as Sarah speaks. What are you experiencing as you listen to her?" This pulls members into deep connection. Sometimes the group gets stuck. We use structured exercises like drawing a group shield or doing a role play to spark new insights. Exercises are interventions, not just games. A role play allows a member to practice a difficult conversation in the safe laboratory of the group. The feedback they receive from peers is often more powerful than any therapist's advice. The closing phase integration. We summarize. What did you learn about yourself today? We must also ground the group, ensuring high emotions are contained before members leave. Grounding ensures safety. We might use a brief mindfulness moment or a checkout word to signify the transition from the therapeutic space back to the real world. A well-designed session turns a group of strangers into a powerful healing community. In Part 20, we'll discuss managing group dynamics. See you then! Welcome to Part 20. In a group, the magic and the challenge is in the interaction. Today we discuss managing group dynamics. Group dynamics are the invisible forces that influence how members behave and relate. As facilitators, we must be aware of these patterns to keep the group therapeutic. One common role is the monopolist, the person who talks to avoid their own anxiety or to control the room. They can unintentionally shut others down. We manage this through gatekeeping. We might say, "Tom, I'm going to pause you there so we can hear how others are reacting to your story." This protects the group's balance. Then there's the silent member. Their silence might be fear, judgment, or processing. We don't force them, but we provide gentle invitations to join. We might say, "Sarah, you've been listening intently. I'm curious what's been going through your mind." This signals that their voice is valued without creating pressure. Conflict is inevitable, especially in the storming phase. Tension isn't a failure, it's an opportunity. We help the group process the conflict directly, which builds resilience. Conflict often reveals underlying issues. By staying calm and neutral, the leader helps members move from attacking to explaining their feelings. This turns a storm into a breakthrough. We also watch for the help-rejecting complainer. This member asks for help but has a yes but hots for every suggestion. The goal here isn't to give more advice, but to explore their feelings of helplessness. Ultimately, we hold up a mirror. We comment on the group's here and now behavior. "I noticed the room got very quiet after that comment. What just happened for everyone?" Mastering these dynamics is the art of group therapy. In Part 21, we'll discuss the specific methods used in group counseling. See you then. Welcome to Part 21. We have the members and the rules. Now, what do we actually do? Today, we dive deep into the specific methods used in group counseling. Group methods exist on a spectrum. On one end, we have highly structured educational groups. On the other, open-ended process groups. A skilled leader knows where to stand on this line. First, psychoeducational groups. Here, the leader acts more like a teacher. The goal is to impart specific knowledge, like coping skills for anxiety or anger management. The structure is tight: lecture, discussion, practice. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT groups fit here. Members learn to identify cognitive distortions together. Hearing 5 peers say that thought sounds irrational creates a powerful consensus that challenges the negative belief. Moving to the other end of the spectrum, we have process groups. Here, there is no lesson plan. The content is the here and now. We talk about what is happening between members in this room right now. Psychodrama brings the internal world to life. A member acts out a past trauma or future fear, with other members playing key roles. It externalizes the conflict, allowing the protagonist to rewrite the script of their life. Gestalt therapy uses the hot seat. One member works intensively with the leader in the center, focusing on somatic experience and emotional release, while the group holds the space as witnesses. Creative arts therapy uses nonverbal channels. Drawing, music, or movement allows members to express emotions that are too difficult for words. The shared creative process bypasses defenses. Mindfulness-based groups focus on presence. We practice meditation together. The shared silence creates a powerful container for regulation, reducing the collective anxiety of the room. Finally, support groups rely on shared experience, like grief or addiction. The method is validation. The healing comes from the absence of judgment and the realization that I am not alone. Most effective leaders are integrative. We might start with a mindfulness exercise, move to a process discussion, and end with a CBT summary. We mix the methods to meet the group's needs. In Part 22, we will look at ethical issues specific to groups and how to evaluate effectiveness. See you then. Welcome to Part 22. We are closing Chapter 3 by looking at the guardrails and the scorecard. Today we discuss ethical issues and evaluation in group counseling. The biggest ethical challenge in groups is confidentiality. In individual therapy, the therapist is bound by law. In a group, we can only ask members to promise secrecy. We cannot guarantee it. Therefore, informed consent is crucial. We must tell clients up front. We expect confidentiality, but we cannot enforce it perfectly. This allows them to decide how much to share. Another risk is coercion. The mob mentality can pressure a member to disclose trauma before they are ready. The leader must intervene to protect member autonomy. Now, how do we know if the group is working? Evaluation isn't just paperwork. It's clinical responsibility. We need data to prove we are helping, not harming. We often use pre- and post-group measures. If it's an anxiety group, we measure anxiety scores at Session 1 and Session 8. Seeing the numbers drop validates the work. We also ask for feedback. A simple anonymous survey asking what was helpful and what would you change gives voice to silent members, and improves future groups. We also track dropouts. If half the group quits by session 3, it's a signal that something in the structure or leadership needs to change. It's a painful but necessary metric. Finally, self-evaluation. Effective leaders reflect after every session. Did I talk too much? Did I miss a cue? Supervision is essential for this growth. Ethical practice and rigorous evaluation ensure that our groups are safe, effective, and constantly improving. This concludes Chapter 3. In Chapter 4, the final chapter, we will compare individual versus group counseling directly and offer best practices. See you in Part 23. Welcome to Chapter 4, Comparison and Best Practices. We start by putting our two main modalities head-to-head, individual versus group counseling. Which one wins? The answer, of course, is it depends. Individual therapy offers depth, privacy, and undivided attention. Group therapy offers breadth, social learning, and shared experience. If privacy is the priority, perhaps for deep shame or trauma, individual work is the sanctuary. But if connection is the cure, for isolation or social anxiety, the group is the village. Individual therapy is a lab. Group therapy is a simulation of the real world. In individual, you talk about relationships. In group, you have relationships. The therapist's role shifts too. In individual, you are the primary attachment figure. In group, you are the conductor, facilitating attachments between members. We can't ignore logistics. Group therapy is significantly more cost-effective. For the price of one individual hour, a client might get 4 group sessions. This matters for access. Can we do both? Absolutely. Concurrent therapy can be powerful. The individual session becomes a space to process what happened in the group. However, communication is key. If the client splits the therapists, telling one mom they love them and the other dad they hate them, it creates a mess. The therapist must collaborate. In summary, crisis or deep trauma processing, start individual, social isolation, addiction, or skill building. Think group. Often, the journey moves from one to the other. Both are essential tools. A complete mental health system and a complete clinician needs both. In Part 24, we will discuss common challenges and practical planning tips to handle them. See you then. Welcome back. We are redoing Part 24 to ensure it focuses strictly on common challenges and practical tips. This is different from the comparison in Part 23. We are looking at problems that arise in both modalities. Challenge number 1, resistance. Every client wants to change, but also fears it. Resistance isn't an enemy. It's a sign that we are approaching something meaningful. Don't push against it. Roll with it. Challenge number 2, transference. This is when a client unconsciously redirects feelings for a parent or past figure onto you. If they get angry at you over a small thing, ask, who does this dynamic remind you of? Handling transference with curiosity is a master skill. It turns a disruption into a breakthrough. It reveals their relational blueprint in real time. Challenge number 3, dropouts. Clients leave. Sometimes it's unavoidable logistics, but often it's avoidance of pain. Always try to conduct an exit interview. It's vital learning for you and closure for them. Now for practical tips. Tip number 1, documentation. If it isn't written down, it didn't happen. Good notes, like SOAP notes, protect you legally and help you track clinical patterns over time. Tip number 2, supervision. Never work alone. Even experienced therapists need a supervisor to process difficult cases. It prevents burnout and catches blind spots. Supervision provides a third eye on the therapy. It helps you distinguish between the client's issues and your own countertransference, your emotional reaction to them. Tip number 3, flexibility. A plan is a map, not the territory. If a client brings in a crisis, put the plan aside. Being present is more important than being correct. With these tips, you are ready for the reality of practice. In our final video, Part 25, we will wrap up the entire course. See you there. Welcome to the final video of our series. Today, we summarize everything we've learned about the foundations and planning of counseling. We've climbed a mountain together, from defining the core purpose of therapy to planning individual and group sessions and navigating ethical challenges. The biggest takeaway is that no matter how good the plan is, the human relationship is the real medicine. Empathy and trust are your most powerful tools. Becoming a counselor is a journey of lifelong learning. This series is just the beginning. Stay curious, stay humble, and keep practicing self-care. Remember our final tips: presence over perfection, collaborate with your clients, and always seek supervision to keep your practice safe and growing. Thank you for your dedication to this field. You are choosing a path that makes a profound difference in people's lives. Go forth with confidence. This concludes our series. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Welcome to our comprehensive case study. Today, we follow the journey of Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing professional suffering from debilitating social anxiety. Sarah's anxiety was so severe that she had begun to avoid staff meetings and social lunches. She felt a constant, heavy pressure in her chest, convinced that her colleagues were judging her every word. This is where her counseling journey began. In the first session, the counselor conducted a holistic needs assessment. We didn't just look at her work stress, we looked at her history. Sarah revealed a childhood where perfection was expected and mistakes were criticized. Building trust was the first priority. The counselor used active listening, offering empathy rather than advice. When Sarah said, "I'm a failure," the counselor reflected, "It sounds like you carry a lot of weight from that childhood expectation." This validation built the therapeutic alliance. Once safe, they set smart objectives. They didn't start with, "give a presentation." Instead, they set a manageable step: to arrive at the office 5 minutes early and say hello to one person by the coffee machine. Specific, measurable, and achievable. We used the CBT method. Sarah began to track her automatic thoughts. She realized that "everyone hates me" was actually a cognitive distortion. She practiced replacing it with, "I don't know what they are thinking, but I can handle a conversation." They designed a behavioral experiment. Sarah's homework was to ask one question in a meeting. In the following session, they processed the results. Sarah was shocked. No one laughed. In fact, her boss thanked her for the input. The evidence was changing her belief. Over 12 weeks, Sarah's world expanded. Through monitoring progress, she saw her anxiety score drop from a 9 to a 3. She was no longer just surviving her workday, she was participating in it. She had found her voice. The ending was planned carefully. Sarah and the counselor reviewed her growth. They acknowledged the hard work she had done and discussed a maintenance plan for future stress. Sarah left therapy feeling empowered and resilient. This case study illustrates the power of the foundations we've discussed. When a solid plan meets a strong relationship, healing is possible. Counseling turns the overwhelming into the achievable. Thank you for following Sarah's story. May it inspire your own path as a counselor. Goodbye for now. In a world that is often loud and chaotic, there is a quiet profession that deals in the most delicate of materials, the human soul. This video is a tribute to that work. Every day, millions of people walk around carrying invisible burdens: grief, anxiety, trauma, loneliness. They wear masks of normalcy, but inside, they are struggling to stay afloat. It takes immense courage to ask for help. And when that hand reaches out, there must be another hand ready to grasp it. That is the hand of the counselor. The therapy room is a sacred space. It is one of the few places left where a person can be completely undone, completely vulnerable, and be met not with judgment, but with unconditional positive regard. The work you do does not stop when the hour ends. It ripples. When you help a father manage his anger, you change the childhood of his children. When you help a student find confidence, you change the trajectory of a career. Counseling knows no boundaries. It touches the elderly finding peace in their final years, the veteran processing war, the teenager navigating identity. It is a universal language of healing. We know this work is heavy. You hold the secrets and the pain of others. You sit with darkness so they don't have to sit alone. It requires a strength of character that is rare and noble, but the reward is witnessing the miracle of change, seeing the light come back into someone's eyes, seeing a broken story rewritten into one of resilience and hope. There is no greater privilege. We are building a future where mental health is treated with the same priority as physical health, where stigma is replaced by understanding. You are the architects of that future. You are the heart of the helper. Your empathy is your superpower. Your presence is the intervention. Never underestimate the power of simply being there. This series is dedicated to you and the clients you will serve. Go be the light. Thank you.